degree, because I think men have lost their rights. In certain issues, domestic violence, sexual issues, you are guilty.
Called the Violence Against Women Act, not the Violence Against Family Members Act.
And I mean, that's not right. And so these are horrible problems that exist, and many times men are at fault, but we just assume that men are guilty without any proof.
Men can accuse women of domestic violence as well and play falsely and do the same thing.
What's up, everybody? Today we are covering how the men's rights movement is in fact real, legitimate case, where the feminist movement, well, does not have a case. Let's get into it.
That is the point. That is the point that I'm trying to make, that all those issues can work both ways.
Right, that's the point, Doctor, that gender isn't going to tell you anything about who's being falsely accused, who's guilty of domestic violence, who's guilty of initiating a divorce. Gender doesn't tell you anything meaningful about that. I'm not oppressed just because I'm a woman.
Right.
Lots of men are oppressed in some very real ways. Gender doesn't give you a significant way to understand those issues. We need a bigger, broader, more inclusive, more human way to tackle these issues.
Yes, men are in fact being oppressed here by women. They are, here in the West, because of the feminist movement. Because let's face it, there are so many laws here in the West right now, as a result of the feminist movement, that are 100% designed to help and protect women. There are. However, I cannot find a single law here in the West at all that gives any protections for men against women. I haven't seen any. Literally none. So yeah, men are the ones who are being oppressed. It's no longer women anymore. It's not.
Want is the individual choice to be who you want to be and to be given all the opportunities. And then when there's any scenario where any individual in any way, shape, or form, for whatever reason, is not allowed those opportunities, that's problematic, and we always need to fight that. And in your opinion, you think men are being, look, that's fine. And we should talk about all these things, because
and I think in some cases they are.
Well, what about, she mentioned, you know, in terms of pro-choice, women have the ability to choose whether or not they want to move forward with a pregnancy, but men don't have that choice whether or not they want to be a father or support that child if the woman chooses to have the child. And that made me think, you know, I don't know.
Well,
what to
I
say
think
to that.
also a lot, you know, I'm the mother of a son, and
In fact, when it comes to that, I'm willing to take it a bit step further. Because we see women constantly saying, like, hey, their right to bodily autonomy is being attacked. Let's take a look at this. Here in the West, I'm not too sure how it is in other countries, but here in the West, women have access to over 60 different types of birth control. They do. One of those is a system in the hospital where, hey, the woman can give up her child for adoption after giving birth. Men, on the other hand, like we said before on this channel, only have two methods of birth control. Two. One of them is a permanent life-changing surgery. The other is a flimsy piece of rubber that can be sabotaged by anyone. Literally anyone. So it doesn't matter which way I look at these facts and this data. Becoming pregnant may not be a choice. But being a single mother is a choice. It is. Now, do I believe rape is wrong? Yeah, of course I do. I definitely believe rape is wrong. However, now that we have confirmed that being a single mother is a choice, do I think a man should be held financially liable for a child he never agreed to have? Do I think a man should be held financially liable for, especially when the woman chooses to be a mother on her own, a single mom on her own free will? Definitely not. I do not think that should be the case, because from my understanding, here in America, you're supposed to have a punishment that is fitting the crime itself. Now, do I understand that, like, hey, especially in this economy, in order to raise a child comfortably, you at the very least need the benefit of 2 incomes? Yeah, of course I do. But do I think that the woman should be, but do I think if a woman chooses to be a single mother on her own free will, then she should take the responsibility, all the responsibilities of that choice she made on her own free will? Under no circumstances should she be permitted to throw half of the responsibility on the man? Yeah, most definitely, I do. And I also want to acknowledge that, like, hey, because of the feminist movement, especially when men are declared guilty till proven innocent in majority of cases, a false accusation is worse than rape. It is. Because let's be honest here. Medically speaking, when it comes to rape, a woman's life is salvageable. She can recover. A false accusation towards a man, especially if the man is declared guilty till proven innocent, the damage to the man's life is permanent. It is. So let's face it, ladies. If you want men to start approaching you again and essentially date you again, you need to offer the men something. They will not take all that risk just for a possibility of sex. It's not going to happen. Like, with all those risks, the juice is not worth the squeeze anymore. It really is not.
I think that it does change your whole paradigm when you are a mother of a boy versus a girl, because these issues take on a different significance. They do. And I think that whether you're talking about religion or race or gender or anything, your occupation, whether you stay at home or choose to work outside the home, I think it's a slippery slope if you make a generalization. And I think that being a mom has really taught me so much. I mean, I think there's nothing like trying to elevate your game, right, when you are a parent, and it does shift your whole mindset about this. And I think it's not one extreme or another. We have to just settle somewhere in the middle, I think.
We were talking about reproductive rights. It's not just about women's right to choose. Every single state in the U.S. allows women a certain amount of time to decide if they wish to parent the child they have given birth to. In North Dakota, they have a full year to decide if they wish to assume legal, moral, financial, social responsibility for that child. If they don't, they simply surrender it and all their obligations end. They're done.
You mean they give it up for adoption?
Yes, it's called a safe haven law. No man in the U.S. has the right to opt out of parenting a child he has biologically contributed to. And even worse than that, he doesn't have to be the biological father. He can still be held responsible. If you don't see that as a gross unfairness, I'm not sure you know what fairness means.
Personally, I'm agreeing with her. I don't think the majority of women here who support the feminist movement even know what fairness is. And there you go. Just evidence of little proof of what we just talked about. Laws that are specifically designed to help and protect women, but are not designed to help men out. A lot of women here in the West keep saying, it's my body, my choice. Well, here's a question, I think, for all you ladies. If it's your body and your choice, and the man has absolutely no say, then how is it the man's responsibility? Like how? Please make that make sense in a logical way. If the man has no say in what you ladies do with your bodies at all, whatsoever, even if he's married to you, then how is what you choose to do with your bodies, like become pregnant and become a single mom, his responsibility? Like how? Make that make sense. And to be honest with you, this is literally what caused Roe v. Wade to essentially get lost. Because after all, think about it. If so many women here, the majority of women here in the West, are constantly demonizing literally the exact people they are 100% reliant on to manufacture and produce the surgical equipment for your abortion surgeries, what do you think is going to happen to Roe v. Wade? Like what? Anyways, that's all I got time for this one. See you.